but I remembered exactly where I was. You know. But I knew he left soon thereafter. It's great. It's really nice to see. It is nice. Yeah. I would love to understand how. I am. So hopefully I'll meet up with him. How he did that? How he transitioned? That's a big switch. We had some relationship with
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We'll try to finish the simon and then get everybody home before the snow piles up too high. I know it doesn't make any sense to you in Florida. There's a thing called snow up here in New York. Anywho,
Yeah, I'm supposed to fly back tomorrow afternoon. We'll see.
boy, good luck. I hope. Well, hopefully by tomorrow it'll clear up here, but
Hopefully.
the runways will be clear.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but I heard that the airlines have moved their planes south out of the path because a lot of them go into areas that have the snow, and
There could be residual delays for a few days.
Last night they announced on the news they canceled 1,700 flights.
Right.
Okay. Well, all the Yeshiva week people are trying to get back, right? Be'atzlacha with getting back tomorrow, and I hope it's a smooth process. Okay. I think Richie, I think Shlomo's getting
he's getting
the sheets. You know, but I know I shouldn't have even. Sorry, I made an assumption.
He's working on it right now.
All right, so we're up to Sif Hay and Simon Reish Ayin test. All about
Yes.
Yeah, Reish Ayin test Sif Hay. So the discussion has been earlier about moving a candle.
Is that below the line?
We're going to start up in the Shulchan Aruch, Sif Hay. Sorry, Simon. Yeah, Simon Reish Ayin test. Sif Hay. 3 lines from the bottom of the particular page, that, at least in my edition of the Mishnah Berurah.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't have it? Reish Ayin Tet? Simon Reish Ayin Tet?
I'll catch up. Is that Mutar Lefos, Kara?
No, I think you might be on the wrong. Check which Simon you're in. It should start with Ner Shehidliku b'Shabbos l'chaya u'lechola.
Okay.
Check, make sure you're in the right Simon.
Okay, go ahead.
He was in Reish Ayin Zayin.
Yeah, you were in Reish Ayin Zayin. We've identified the problem.
I was on Reish Ayin Zayin is correct, but on Reish Ayin Ches, I have an Aleph, and then I go to Reish Ayin Tes.
Correct, and there you're going to go to Hay. That's where we were up to.
Oh, Tes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. And
yep.
I go to Hay.
No, you're good. Okay.
Okay.
So, whereas before we were dealing with cases of the candle being lit before Shabbos, and then we played out the scenario. Now the question is, and was there a Tanai, not a Tanai? Everything was Erev Shabbos going into Shabbos, because the key rule was if it begins Shabbos in a state of Muktzah, then that's the status for the entirety of Shabbos. Okay? Now, the scenario switches a little bit, and we're going to deal with what happens with the light. The candle is lit on Shabbos. Okay, and we're going to come up with a scenario here. Not me. Shulchan Aruch is going to come up with a scenario here where it's lit in a way that is permissible. Okay, we're going to be in a case of probably of sakana, and the light is needed in order to for a particular person. And now that the candle is on, what is its status? Should it go out later? Can I move it? Can I not move it? Do we say that thing is hooked, so it's set aside and then not touchable the rest of Shabbos? So that's what we're going to deal with right now. So Sif Hay begins as follows. Ner shehidliku b'Shabbos l'chaya u'lechola. A candle that is lit on Shabbos for a chaya. A chaya is a woman who is recently given birth. Okay, this comes up in the last chapter of Yoma, when it talks about one of the cases of what about is in the 30 days of having given birth, can they anoint themselves? Can they not anoint themselves? So this is someone who is obviously very recently given birth and is in a state where needs tipul. They need medical attention. That's interesting here that they decide to distinguish out chaya from just the chola in general here. But okay, so ner sheliku b'Shabbos l'chaya u'lechola, v'yalda hachaya v'nisra pehachola. The woman gives birth, and the chola gets better, right? Everyone's good. So I guess the chaya here she was in labor, I guess, when this all happened. They needed light to see what to do. The midwife needs light, so they need a light. Now the situation is passed. Baruch Hashem, everybody's fine. So mutar l'taltal. If it were to go out, it would be permissible to then move the lamp. Okay, while it's on, of course, you can't move it for separate reasons, as we've discussed. But now, if it goes out, it is permissible to move. Okay, v'hu hadin lemadlik b'Shabbos b'shogeg v'kava shemutar l'taltalo. And this is the same halacha. A person by accident lights. Be careful what words I use here. Shogeg means that you did it knowingly. You understood the action you were doing, but you just didn't understand that it was prohibited. A person forgot it was Shabbos and lit the candle. Or a person didn't understand, they knew it's Shabbos, but they didn't learn Hilchot Shabbat ever, and they didn't know it was permissible. It was not permissible to light it. Either way, it wasn't done b'mezid. It wasn't done willingly and purposefully.
Deliberately.
I'm going to violate Shabbos. And similarly, the halacha is that once that light goes out, it is permissible to then move the lamp. Okay, so similar cases. One where the lamp was lit in a completely permissible fashion, and one where it was not. Either way, when it goes out, you can move it. Now let's take a look at the Mishnah down below. Tesva.
Excuse me, Rav.
Yes, Simeon, go ahead.
Rav, what the Shulchan Aruch is telling us that the mere act of lighting the candle, whether it was b'shogeg or deliberately, does not automatically trigger the beginning of Shabbos.
Sorry, can you repeat that again? Just the main point there, in terms of it being Shabbos, the last part.
What the Shulchan Aruch is telling us is that the lighting of the candle, whether it was deliberate or accidental, is not the trigger mechanism for starting Shabbos.
Right. Well, these are not less. Okay, now I understand. These are not Shabbos candles. Like, these aren't the Shabbos candles. This is, this lady is in labor. This woman's in labor, and the midwife comes over. Let's say it's already Friday night. Days of old. Like, the midwife comes to the house. Right. She's been called that she's in labor. She says, "I need a light. Right. In order for me to deliver this baby, we need to get some lights on in the room. It's too dark in here." So it's sakanas nefashos. Of course, you could turn the light on. The midwife needs help delivering the woman. No problem. We turn the lights on Shabbos. The candles that we light. We get days before there were.
We already learned, for the sake of a challah on Shabbos, if there's any sakana at all, you can push off Shabbos.
Right. So now the question that we're dealing with, Simeon, is what's the status of that lamp after the light goes out? She delivers the baby, Mazel Tov, everyone's healthy and healthy. She doesn't need the light anymore. There's no sakana anymore. The sakana is over, right? That's the chola. Nisra pehachola. The chola is no longer in a state where there is a danger. The light then goes out. It's 3, 4 in the morning. The light goes out. Now the question is, can we move the lamp from whatever location it was? It's in the way. It's on it's on a particular table, and I want to use that table for something else. Can I move the lamp now that it's out? If it was lit before Shabbos, we learned once it's set aside during Bein Hashmashos, it's set aside for the entirety of Shabbos, and I can't move it. But this time it was lit on Shabbos. That's the difference here. Okay. So, what did you say?
It's all right. It just doesn't make sense to me, but go ahead.
Well, again, all that's happening here is that the light was lit on Shabbos. Now, this is not a Shabbos candle. This is just lights. Again, they didn't have artificial lights, so this isn't lighting Shabbos candles. They were lighting extra candles here for the whole day. That's what's
Okay.
happening.
Okay.
So look what the Mishnah Berurah now says. Mutter says that this is permissible. De'ein muktzeh lechatzi Shabbos. Okay, we don't have such a concept of it set aside for half a Shabbos, right? The davka im iskatzai lebein hashmashos hu b'tchilas knisas Shabbos hu de amrinan de iskatzai lechulei Shabbos af la'achar shekava. The only time we ever apply the rule that it's set aside for the rest of Shabbos is if it's set aside at the beginning of Shabbos during the bein hashmashos, the twilight period. If this lamp was lit at 11 o'clock at night, she went into labor, etc., the rule of muktzah does not kick in. It doesn't apply. Just simply does not apply. Because there's no muktzah for half a Shabbos. Muktzah is either the entire Shabbos or not. It can't be moved while the candle is lit because of a separate problem of being mechabe and mavir at the eish. But no muktzah kicks in. Important rule to know. There's no muktzah for half a Shabbos. Okay? Aval lo bazeh shehudlak me'erev Shabbos l'chaya v'chol sheyesh bo sakana sheyamuter b'tchilas Shabbos lataltalo lo itkatzoe l'chulei Shabbos la'achar shenisrape achola ela al zman shehu dolek bilvad. Now, the other important rule here that he says, which is important because it really takes the rule and translates it very literally. In order for something to be muktzah for the entirety of Shabbos, it has to be muktzah, set aside and unusable during bein hashmashos. If a woman is in labor and they lit the candles, these particular candles to help her, or there's someone who's very sick and they need the candle for whatever reason, that candle is movable. Right? Imagine a doctor, right? I've been to a few times for labors, and there oftentimes is almost like at the dentist, when they want the light, they move it here, they move it there. You can see the back of your mouth now, right? And so similarly, right? They have I've been enough times, they have these actually huge nowadays. They have these huge lights in the delivery room. Right, and so that the doctor can get the right amount of light. So they didn't have that in those days, but you could imagine that the doctor or the midwife might need to move the lamp. I need to see over here. I need to see over. Can you move it closer? I need to get a better view. I don't know. I need to see how to solve this medical situation. So it it was movable during bein hashmashos. Since there was a chol sheyesh bo sakana, there was a person who needed it, who was in danger. And since it was mutter to move, yeah, she's in labor during bein hashmashos, right? Let's use that situation, right? And so it's movable. And since it's not set aside during bein hashmashos, it's not in that particular circumstance. Those lights which were lit for that person, for the chole or the chola, can be moved after they go out on Shabbos later, because those lights were movable during Shabbos because of the chola situation. Therefore, it's not muktzah because it wasn't during bein hashmashos.
But you can't move it while it's still on?
When there's a danger, the answer is you can move it, even when the lights are on, because the mavir and the mechabe, the extinguishing and the kindling of the flame, are being done for the purposes of saving a life. And therefore, I could move it. That's the whole point here. Because it's movable, at the beginning of Shabbos, it wasn't usr. It was actually mutter. And therefore, you can't say it's muktzah during bein hashmashos, and therefore it's not muktzah for the entirety of Shabbos. In that case, in that scenario. If there wasn't a chola, then it would be a different calculation like we've talked about in the previous classes.
So you have a sick child, and you need the light to see what you can do about it, and then the kid needs to go to sleep, you can pick up the light and leave the room with it?
If that child was in a state of chola sheyesh bo sakana, then the answer to your question would be yes and yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. That if a person is in a life-threatening situation, all bets are off, and then you can extinguish the flame, turn on the flame. You can do whatever you need to do to save that life.
So in today's world, if you have that sick child and you need to turn on the light in the room, then the child needs to go to sleep, you turn it off?
If it's
Yes.
I'm being very careful with my words here. If it was a cholesh yesh bo sakana.
Right. Okay.
If there was a life-threatening situation, absolutely, absolutely, do whatever you need to do to save a life. Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Where were we here? Oh, yes.
That's a very loose definition, is that?
Pikuach nefesh. Explain.
And you never know, That's why.
Right. That's why even suffix sakana is okay as Shabbos. Correct. Yep. Absolutely. Where was I? Right, it was in the middle here. Sheyamutar b'tchilas davish letaltalo lois kasai l'chulish Shabbos lachshin strap echola el azman shudolik levad. Right, b'chol shekenim hudlak b'Shabbos gufa l'tzorach chaya b'chol. Obviously, if it's lit on Shabbos for these type of people, lo hayadolek klal bein hashmashos b'avadei lois kasai l'chulish. So then certainly it's mutar. There's no muktzah issue that Shabbos. Okay. All right. Tez zayin l'taltalo im kava haynu dafka l'tzorach gufa o makomo. When can I move it if it goes out? That's only if it's l'tzorach gufo. I need the actual lamp or something, paperweight. I don't know. Or I need the space. It's on a table. I need that table. I'm allowed to move it. Delo adifa mishar klisha malach iser. It's no different than any klisha malach iser where I can only move it if I need it l'tzorach gufo or l'tzorach makomo. Can't just move it for no good reason. Okay. Yud Zayin. All right. This is the Hu Hadin line. Hakol mitam haniskar lael. This is all because of the reason that we just mentioned, right? De'ein muktzah lachatzi Shabbos. There is no muktzah for half a Shabbos. Sheya aser af la'achar shekava. That it should be aser after it's extinguished. There is no such rule. The rabbis established the rule that bein hashmashos is the moment where you determine
The question is,
muktzah.
if you have a candle, turn on, then it becomes a muktzah candle.
Right.
Let's say you have a situation where they need us to light. They take the lamp that before Shabbat, right?
Yeah.
You go to muktzah and you use it for that purpose instead of turning it on, turning a new light.
Yeah. So, you're saying what would the situation be there?
Because it was designated for Shabbat.
Right.
By moving,
Interesting question.
is that
We didn't hear the question.
Oh, let me repeat. And Shlomo, if I don't get the question correct, let me know. But Shlomo is asking, what if a situation develops on Shabbos? And I need to move the lamp that was not lit for that purpose on Shabbos. What's its muktzah status? So now I'm going to turn to all my class here. What do you think?
I would say it's not a muktzah because it's probably better than to move it than to turn a new light on Shabbat. Fire on Shabbat, that concept is not allowed.
Right.
Specifically said.
But let's say you can move it in a way where you're so careful it's better because you won't even cause any havara. Like I'll move it super carefully and it's better than turning on. I agree. So so you're saying it's not muktzah. I disagree.
Yeah.
Or at least I think that if during Bein HaShmashos it was muktzah and then a situation develops later, of course you can move it. B'vadai, save a life. But now I think it was still muktzah. I think once the sakana is over, I can't move that thing anymore. And even if after it goes out, I can't move it.
The issue is
all about Bein HaShmashos.
It's a stronger case than turning a light on Shabbat.
No. I think you should use it. Meaning, once that happens, you take the candle, you move it wherever you need to move it. But once the sakana is over, I think it retains its muktzah status that it had during Bein HaShmashos. I don't think you can pop it out of the muktzah status.
I think the point of this philosophy that the status of muktzah is something which only holds for the entire Shabbos.
Right.
That as the muktzah situation, it doesn't change the muktzah situation book when it's not for Shabbos.
Right.
So if something became muktzah during Shabbos, it's no such thing.
Right. Correct.
They're trying to highlight
No, but
the
it's right.
idea.
Right.
that muktzah, you have to designate before Shabbos.
Right.
That this has a purpose on Shabbos, and that purpose holds for the entire Shabbos. And that's why even if it goes out, it's muktzah when it goes out.
Right.
Okay, not absolutely. But in this situation where it came into being on Shabbos, it cannot be muktzah because muktzah is a concept that only holds for an entire Shabbos,
Mm-hmm.
not for 14. Question is, do you break the muktzah part or you break the actual fire? That's the question.
Right. He's saying if it happened in the middle of Shabbos that I need to suddenly change the purpose of the light because the zakana doesn't change the book's status. My point is like I think it's determined always at bein shmashos, and so yes, of course you'll use it, but then I think it retains its book's status after the sakana is over. It's a ball game of them to itself. Yes.
Muktzah has to be designated before Shabbos. I think that's what it's trying to do.
Right. Okay. Just looking at
Rob?
Shulchan added something here that was important. Yes, go ahead, Simeon. Go ahead, Simeon.
When you posed your question, you added a little blurb at the end of the question. If it wasn't lit for that purpose, you
Yeah,
said.
meaning
What,
let's say
what is that?
yeah, let's say you have a candle that's lit just to illuminate a room on Shabbos. That was the purpose of those candles.
Not to let Shabbos enter, not to do Hadlokas Nero Shabbos.
No, stop. It's again, they didn't have artificial lights like we have. So, you
So
know, it was lit for Shabbos light.
I don't understand. I don't understand your question because it seems to me that if there is any kind of sakana, it's doche Shabbos.
Oh, 100%.
Period. So why are you even assuming that anybody would say that you absolutely permitted to do that? What?
No, 100%. You could violate Shabbos if somebody's in danger. 100%. The question became about after the danger passes, what is the status of that lamp? You know, is it muktzah or is it not muktzah? That was really the question that we were debating.
Rav, I had the privilege of learning Mishnah Brura with Steve Keller after Hashkama Minyan, and I learned 5 of the 6 volumes. And I believe it's in this volume, in the beginning, he says, if you are not feeling well on Shabbos, and it's not a ke'eva ba'alma, it's something that could be serious. And
Yeah.
you run around looking for a doctor or looking for a rabbi to tell you that you can break Shabbos.
There are
He,
chassid shota. Yes.
he says, this is,
Fool.
he says, this is Chasidus Shel Shtus.
Simeon, I'm sorry, you froze. It's cold here in New York. I'm sorry. Okay. We brought the cold down to Florida. Okay. Well, hopefully it comes back on. But okay.
Yoni,
We can hear you now. You froze for a
can you
moment.
hear me now?
Yes.
He says that is Chasidus Shel Shtus.
Right. Correct.
And in all of the volumes that I learned for all of the years, the only one time he used that word in all of his writings is there. That word shtus.
Properly placed. Let's take a look at Yud Ches now. Bishogeg, that this was done Bishogeg. Nakat Bishogeg. We use the language of Shogeg here, which is not purposeful. Delo Iri Birishiaya. We don't want to talk about wicked people who violate Shabbos on purpose. But uve emes afilu hiliko b'mezdid gamke mutalatatlo achashakava. The truth is, he says, if a person, a Jew, lights candles, turns on the light on the middle of Shabbos, lights a candle in the middle of Shabbos, did it knowingly, the rule applies. Same rule. You can move it l'tzorach gufo, l'tzorach makomo, ho v'lo haya muktzah b'tchilas k'nisas Shabbos. Because when Shabbos entered, it wasn't muktzah. It all matters about the beginning of Shabbos. That's that. Okay. Any questions about Sif Hey? Otherwise, we'll move on. All right, Sif Vav. Ner shelo hidliku bo be'osa Shabbos. Let's say a candle that wasn't lit on that particular Shabbos. So it was a lamp, completely unused on Shabbos. Not on unused. Afilu hu shel cheres, even if it's the earthen made of earthenware, demais, which is like pottery, you know, pottery is. Demais, which is disgusting. You have sometimes have a foul odor. It builds up over time. It was used. It's, you know, I don't know. I have no experience with this in terms of having experienced pottery that was used as a lamp. But afilu hu shel neft, the masriach, and even if it was made of neft, which stinks. Masriach. What's the translation of neft? I forgot it from yesterday. Pitch, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like a tar, and it's not appropriate for Shabbos.
Right. It's very foul in terms of its odor. So mutter letaltalo, it is permissible to move the muktzeh macha mecha masmius mutter. Just because something is set aside as disgusting doesn't mean you can't move it. So like no one would mind use it because it stinks. Ugh. I don't want. But that if it just is right. So I don't want to use it. So it's kind of set aside. But if it's in my way, I'm allowed to move it.
Because of the meals. Because of the meals.
Yeah, but we don't say that muktzeh machmas mius is immovable. If it's set aside, I would never use it because it's disgusting. Doesn't mean I can't move it. Okay. Look at Yud Tet. Mutal tatalov afterhu klisha malachol iser. Even though it is a klisha malachol iser because it is a lamp, right? So it's used for prohibited purposes, lighting candles, and prohibited on Shabbos. Nevertheless, if I need the item itself or the space, it is permissible. Kamosha custom siman shinches sif gimel, like any other klisha malachol iser. That's the general rule, and we'll get more into the klisha malachol iser rules in shinches. What is?
If you move something that's designated for Shabbat, just because that's, well, I mean, because of meals, this is breaking Shabbat law, isn't it? By doing so, moving it, muktzah, that was designed before.
But it wasn't designated for anything in that particular Shabbos. It's just a lamp that wasn't used. That's why the point at the beginning of the sif was ner shelohid liku ba'osa Shabbos. It wasn't lit. So this is not a question of the candles were on and now what do I do? It's like it's just disgusting. It smells. Can I move it? Can I not move it? Right? And it's a cliche.
But it's not on.
No. It was never lit this Shabbos. Yeah.
Isn't it a klisha malachto leisur even if it's not lit?
Correct, 100%. But I can move klisha malachol yisur on Shabbos for l'tzorach gufo makomo. That's what he says here. If I need the spot where that is, or I need the space around it. By the way, if it stinks, so the real halacha might say if something that stinks, and you're like, oh, but I don't need the actual space where it is, but it's ruining the atmosphere in this room. That is also called a sorech makomo. Okay, that.
We learned earlier, Rav, that a klisha malachto leisur may be used or may be moved or touched on Shabbos if there is a malacha that is mutar, and the example I believe was the hammer used to crack nuts.
Yeah, correct. The klisha malachto leisur. If I need it for its own purposes for something mutar, or I need the space, I can go ahead and move it.
But a candle that was not even lit with neft, you're saying you're allowed to move it even if you just need the bussies. It makes no sense to me.
It was not. It's just a cliche.
That's a facie example of something you shouldn't be moving on Shabbos.
But it wasn't on. It's just a klisha malachto yisur. It wasn't wasn't lit that Shabbos.
So what? It has no purpose on Shabbos.
That's why it's a klisha malachto yisur, and I should only move it if I need the space, or I need the item itself for some other purpose. It's in my way. I want to move it. You know, it's causing a big stink in the living room.
Okay.
Right? That makes to move it.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, what was your question?
Well, he doesn't mention moving it because it smells.
He says for gufo makomo. So I'm extending that only because Rav Moshe Feinstein has a tshuva about a fan. Let's say a fan has one of those revolving, the revolving fans. Right. So he has a tshuva that can I move that? Can I move it so that it will circulate in a particular different direction? Maybe it's making me too cold. Maybe I'm too hot and I want to be. So let's say I'm too hot or I'm too cold. Can I move it so that it blows somewhere else? The answer is yes. Well, but the air is I'm over here and the fan is over here. I don't actually need the fan to move. I don't like that the air is coming here. So I believe Rav Moshe Paskins, if I'm not mistaken, that you can move it. Even though I don't need the spot where it's in, but it's affecting me over here. So I would logically extend that if the smell of what's over there is affecting me here, I could also move it. He extends the definition of L'tzorech Makomo to include a situation like that. Maybe Rav Moshe wouldn't extend it in this situation, I don't know. But I could see the svara to say that that's extendable. The Mishnah Berurah, like Steve said, doesn't go there. He just simply uses the definitions from the Gemara. Makomo, Gufo, Makomo, you can move it.
Must have been his early years.
Yeah. Okay. Where were we here? Okay. Chaf, mutter, hoil v'ika toras kli aleh, v'chazir lechasuye beimana. It's permissible to move. Why is it permissible? Mukta machmas mios is mutter. Why isn't it like fully set aside? Like there should be no reason for this to move ever in the entire world. The reason is it's called a kli. It's not like a sticks and stones that are junk, as Rev Shechter would call it. There's no purpose at all for sticks and stones, that are out there in the world, right? Unless you make it your pet stick or your pet rock. Here, right? Here, there is Torah's kli on it. It is called a vessel because you could use it, even though it stinks. You could, in theory, use it to cover something else up. You could use it as some, whatever. I could. I might not want to, but I could. It is functional. It is functional, therefore it is a kli. And we can call it a kli shemalach tol yisr. Okay. Let's finish up the siman. Zion. Okay. Menorah. Ben gadol ben ketana. You have a candelabra, whether it's big or small. And he shall prokim. It's in parts. So you could take it apart, put it back together. Okay? Ein metaltal nasa. You're not supposed to carry such a menorah, which can be dismantled into parts. Okay, I actually remember that our Chanukiah at home, my dad lit. My mom still has it. The shamash part was 8 branches, obviously, and then the shamash could come out, right? So imagine if the menorah was all like that, right? Many parts, right? This is how you could take it apart and put it back together. Okay, so you're not allowed to carry that kind of menorah on Shabbos. Excellent question. Step right into it. Because perhaps it will fall on Shabbos and it will scatter into pieces. But it was not broken. It just will fall into pieces. Oh, okay. We'll talk about that. And what will I do? I'll put it back together. And now, totally unrelated to candles. Now I'm making a kli. I put it back together, and now it's fastened back together, and it's a kli. And even if it's not made of pieces that come apart, it looks like it could be in pieces. There's a little dip in it. You could imagine somebody's looking at that and that comes apart. But it actually doesn't. It's really fast and tight, but it has a little charitz, a little charitz, a ditch, a little dip. So it looks like it's going in. So it looks like it's it's like a Lego piece that goes in, but it's actually fastened. But it looks like it could be a Lego piece that comes out. It looks like it has it's in pieces. Also, you can't move it on Shabbos. Okay? And so the second one, the first one, okay, maybe. Second one, looks like it's a little bit of a Marisayan here going on. Right. So let's look at the Mishnah Berurah. Aleph menorah v'chulei. Afilu hi chadasha shelo hiliku ba me'olam. Even if it had never been lit before, so you can't say, it's a candelabra that we always use for lighting. It's new. It's never been used before. I even carry that on Shabbos. I can't do because it may fall. I may drop it by accident and it'll go to pieces. And naturally, I'll put it back together. Chaf base. V'nimsa ose kli. V'nimsa ose. They say cheli here. Sorry, I read that incorrectly before. Kelly, right away. That word comes up also in Torah. And it's at the end of usually a sentence. In Parshas Chukas. Mayim Chayim El Kelly, okay? That's okay. Same word, means vessel. Ayin Betaz, the Ayin Lekaman, Simon Rutaf, Kuf Yud Tes, Sif Beis. He says, take a look over there, where, by the way, my extra comment tells me that over there it says on Yom Tov it's mutter to lahamid menorah shel chulios mishum simchas Yom Tov. You're allowed to have such a menorah on Yom Tov, okay? But with tonight shelo yiskar es chulios yachad bechozek. As long as you make it tonight. I'm not gonna make it firmly put in in bechozek. It's gonna be. Okay, we'll talk about it. Hold on. Sha'az yavor mishum iser bona. Because if you do it, you put it in to really very strong. Because chulios is very loose. It's extremely loose, and it's mutter. If you put it in and it's where it's like firmly made, then that's bona. That's building. Okay. You're putting something together, but it's a good. But you're making a good point because usually bona doesn't. I would say here it's not bona. It's better to say you're sort of doing makaba patish. You're building with a kli. Building usually is bona is something that's mechubar la karka, right? Like a part of a building. Okay. The im darka lios rafui. Now here's the key. If it's very loose, so this menorah is extremely loose. It's rafui, shari. Then it's permissible. So it's very loose.
There's no concern about the reassembly and the creation of a kli?
Correct, because it's made for this. It's made for coming out. It comes out all. It's not firm. It's the rafui. The rafui means very loose.
Okay.
Hold on now. Okay. What about cups? I used to have a cup on Pesach. From my childhood, I told you about this. It's the orange cup when I was little, and then there was a glass that would go into it. And you carry the orange plastic part. For some reason, I love that cup. So it was kosos shel prakim. Okay, it was two different parts. There's the handle. There's the so over there. It says, if you don't have this here, my extra comments I have. This is 23. If you have a cup which is attached by different parts. So there's, I forgot the word. I looked it up before. Now I forgot. Habrega. To look screw. There you go. So there's a screw that connects them. Thank you, Steve. That connects them. And even though it's and he adds, even though it's permissible to move, it's not like the menorah. Okay, that normally falls apart. The cup, it doesn't fall apart quite as often. Yeah, you hold it, you drink, you put it down. It's not a menorah. If you're going to move it, it's shaking, it's many pieces. More likely that it will fall, and at least some part will come apart. Okay, so what's the point here? If it's loose, the point is if it's very loose, right? It's not like I'm being machzik the kli, right? The point here is that we're worried about sort of makaba patish, right? That I'm making a kli, I'm finishing a kli. Here, if it's loose by its very nature, then it's sort of made to always be coming apart and being back together, apart, back together, apart, back together. That kind of thing is not prohibited because it's not that's not the finished product, because the product always comes apart. It's not like by accident or it fell, it smashed, and it's not so tight. So if it falls, it's always meant to be coming apart. Then if it's rafui, then it's permissible. But if it's not rafui, but it's also not really strong, then you got to be careful, because it's not really meant to be coming apart all the time. Right? It can, but you're finishing the kli. But if it's meant to be always taken apart, then that's the kli by its very nature is not finished when it's whole. Okay? 1 second, I know you have a question.
I don't understand the concept when you said that rafui. If it's rafui and you have to put it apart, aren't you making melacha? But actually putting together.
So the im darkalios rafui means like if its normal way is that it's just this thing is always loose. Its way is loose. It's not like it happens to be right now that it's loose. Some screws are no. It's meant to be complete. It's like it's meant to be taken apart. All right, do this. It's not the finished product. Well, yes, it's a candelabra. It is not. Let's say if it's not a finished product because it's meant to also be then taken apart.
I mean, they have these little
Like a travel kit.
Yeah, they come in a box and they're made of a lot of parts.
Yeah.
and they fit very, very compactly.
Right, and then it's meant to be taken apart.
Then you put it together, right?
Right.
And then when you're done with it, it goes back in the box.
Right,
So they have stuff like that.
right. So the parts,
They're never really.
they're never real, right, it's, the parts of it are meant to be not there forever, right? If it's meant to be there forever and it just happens to be loose today, because the screws are not, that's a different story. Here it's in darkalios rafui, it's meant to be taken apart,
So
right?
then it's back in the box.
correct.
It won't fit back.
So imagine you have a travel candlestick, right? You can imagine that, it's meant to be, you put one into two and then, and then you kind of break it back apart. So something like that, that's dark alios refui. It's meant to be very loose. That's easy to take it apart. Chaf Gimel. What about the case that it looks like it's in pieces, but it's actually one whole unit, the menorah? Chaf Gimel. Dome v'chulei mishum de michlaf b'shel prakim, because you get mixed up. It'll get mixed up with the one that is, made of parts. It looks like it. So this is an ayin, sorry, this is a marathian issue here, right? V'dad lefi hamizbar b'stif zeh asil ataltal nero shelanu shekorim leichter she'af shelo hiliku bo me'olam dehare hem asuyim shel prakim. So he says, according to what the Mechaber is saying, it should be prohibited to move our type of candles that we call leichters. I'm not sure I don't know what a leichter is. I'm not sure what he has in mind. Which are the ones that come apart? These like
The Yiddish word for
Yeah.
candelabra.
Candelabras, when they have these, a silver base.
and then the
it has,
sticks come,
Things are, the 5 or 6 or 9 candles.
and the branches.
You can swivel them off.
See,
You
whatever was done here.
can actually take off parts.
So Jeffrey was describing, for those on Zoom, a candelabra where there's a base that's silver, and you can swivel off the sticks of that candelabra, right? So that's what it was. The Mishnah Berurah here is referring to. He says our leichters are problematic. Even if you never lit it before, but the fact that it looks like something that is shel prakim, even though it's not, it is prakim. These ones are prakim, right? Shel prakim. These ones are made to come apart.
It's not even a screw. Meaning
It's not even a screw, I think.
The base is sort of built meaning not all of them, but a lot of them are like this, where you can swivel off the.
So the actual
It's not one
swiveling is where, it's a melacha?
screw. No, I'm not answering whether or not that is a malach. I'm answering that it can come off the base, like it can come off as parts.
Right. So meaning if it can come apart, right? If it can come apart, he says, ooh, so that means that our leichters are problematic to move, according to the Mechaber, because they're asuyim shel prakim. Mashakasav sivav ma'iri b'neiros shelo hayu asuyim prakim. And that which we said in sivav, mashakasav sivav ma'iri b'neiros shelo hayu asuyim prakim. So the sivav was the smelly, whatever. Those must have been not made of prakim, because if they were made of prakim, we couldn't move them, right? So therefore, I don't know how it is for people's candelabras today, because this wouldn't apply, I guess, for candlesticks, because that's a one.
Well, the candelabra may be put together with screws or something, and of a permanent nature.
Right. So those you're not supposed to move on Shabbos, even if it's not even lit that Shabbos, because of a whole separate issue. Nothing to do with the candles themselves. Has to do with making, even if it looks like
But if
we're
it
making
looks
a
like
kli.
it can,
Then it also can, even if it just looks like it could come apart, it's also a problem. Yes, Simeon, go ahead.
So, Rav, the notion that a Hanukkah menorah that is a single unit, one solid piece, it's not inherently muktzah on Shabbos.
Let's say it's not Hanukkah, it's not even lit that week.
Let's say it's Hanukkah. Let's say, or it is Hanukkah. So.
No, but even if it's not Hanukkah and it comes apart, or it looks like it could come apart, then you shouldn't move it on Shabbos. Forget that it's Hanukkah. It could be in the middle of July. If it looks like
it's not, if it's one solid piece for the
if it's
sake
one solid piece,
of
it's clear to the eye that it's one solid piece, then it's movable. You can move it.
Really?
L'tzorech gufo, l'tzorech mekomo.
I
It's
thought it
strictly
was.
shemalach l'yisr. Yeah. Take care, everyone. Okay, we'll continue with the next thing next time. We finished Reish Ayin Test. Yitzchak, everybody.
Good luck
Well,
in that snow.
I know. I've already had to think about what to do.
Stay safe.
Okay.